Welcome to my economy guide for set 9. This set is changing the XP costs of higher levels, introducing legends and portals, in addition to introducing new economy traits and augments that impact our game. Therefore, we need to approach our economy differently in set 9. In this video, I will cover how to manage our economy on stage 1 until the end, and then how this changes for reroll comps that want to get a bunch of 3-star units. And lastly, we'll cover how the new legends and portal system changes everything. We start off on stage 1, and most people think this stage doesn't really matter, but there are a couple of things we can do here to give us an advantage. On stage 1, 3, and 1, 4, you can sometimes get 10 gold early if we get a ton of gold from the orbs. This allows us to start stacking interest gold early. This is important as the earlier you hit 10 gold, the earlier you hit 20 gold, 30 gold, and eventually 50 gold. If you get ahead of everyone else in terms of generating interest gold, you will get to the higher levels faster and get powerful 2-star forecasts and legendaries before everyone else. In addition, it allows you to hold more pairs and potentially hit more 2-stars in the early and mid game as well. On stage 1-4, we receive our first major decision. Here we can choose to pre-level to 4. We do this by buying 4 XP to be 4 out of 6 XP. Since we get 2 XP naturally every single turn, we start stage 2-1 by being level 4, and therefore we also get a level 4 shop. This allows us to see 3-cost units, which can open up more synergies like Piltover and 5 Demacia. The downside of pre-leveling is that we lower our odds of hitting 1-cost units, and it will take us longer to hit 10 gold. Additionally, we also have less money to work with as we need to spend 4 gold, and in the early game, it's important to be able to buy as many units as possible to get more direction. Because of this, I only pre-level to 4 if I am looking for a specific 3-cost unit, or if I do not need any more 1-cost units. How often I personally pre-level to 4 depends a lot on what strategy I'm going for, and what the current meta is. In some patches, I pre-level almost every game, and on some patches, I rarely pre-level at all. On stage 2-1, you will pick your first augment. Which one you pick will change how you play the game. If you pick an economy augment, your economy strategy will most likely change. Since you get more gold, you will be able to hit interest thresholds faster and hit higher levels faster. Stage 2 is also when we start fighting other players. Our goal here in terms of economy depends on our strategy, but most of the time, we want to try to get as much gold as possible regardless of the strategy. There are 4 main ways of generating gold in TFT: base income, winning PvP rounds, interest gold, and streak bonuses. Since we can only control interest and streaking, those are the ones we focus on the most. Interest gold is very basic. The more gold you have, the more gold you get every turn. Streaking works similarly. The higher your streak is, the more gold you get every turn. Therefore, we almost always want to continue the streak we're currently on in the early game, as this stage is all about generating as much gold as possible to set ourselves up for a strong mid and late game. If you have a weak board in the early game, try to go for a 5-loss streak. This means your goal is to sacrifice your HP by playing a weaker board, but in return, you get way more gold. The strategy here is to hit the interest thresholds as fast as possible. And by playing a weak board, you will get a lot of money from the loss streak bonus as well. Don't be afraid to sell off pairs to make 10 or 20 gold, and your general guidelines are to have 10 gold on stage 2-2, 20 gold on stage 2-5, and at least 30 plus gold on Krugs. We do not level at all when playing for a loss streak on stage 2, and the only time you will ever level is on the Krugs round, where you can level to 5 to make sure you beat that round. If you have a strong board in the early game, you want to try and win as many rounds as possible. We are less worried about making interest gold as we are maintaining high HP instead, and we are also generating gold from win streaking as well as from winning PvP rounds. Your general guidelines when playing for a win streak opener is to be level 4 on stage 2-1. If you got a lot of gold from the stage 1 loot orbs, or from an economy augment, you can go level 5 on stage 2-2, or level normally and reap the rewards from getting additional interest gold. By stage 2-3, you want to either pre-level to 5 or make 10 gold. You will pre-level when there are units you want to keep and not sell on your bench, or if you simply can't make 10 gold, while you're also looking for more 2 and 3 costs. The reason why you're never exclusively pre-leveling for shop odds here, like we do when we're pre-leveling to 4, is because you only have a 2% chance for 4 costs and a 5% increase for 3 costs. If you pre-level instead of making 10 gold here, you're paying 1 gold for a 7% better shop for just 1 turn. At stage 2-5, you want to be level 5 with at least 10 gold, and by the time you get to Krugs, you should be level 5 with at least 30 gold, assuming you kept your win streak. Most of the time here, you will not have a weak or strong board, and you will be mixed streaking. The most important thing to do in that case is to play towards your current streak. This means that if you start off by winning the first round, you try to win as many consecutive rounds as possible after. Once you lose, you will generally try to lose the next couple of rounds as well. In those situations, your general guidelines is to be level 4 on stage 2-1, make 10 gold by stage 2-3, and level to 5 on 2-5 if you're still on a win streak. Since leveling costs have gone up for level 6 through 9, it's more important to hit interest threshold points than in previous sets, because you will almost never make it to level 8 if you end up not streaking in the early game, and if you also didn't focus on interest at the same time. So keep that in mind before you level up in the early game. There is a lot more complexity behind win, loss, and mixed streaking, so if you want to learn more, check out my early game guide. That will be linked down in the description. A final note is that you can always force a loss streak, but you can't reliably force a win streak, so keep that in mind before picking a strategy. The mid game starts on stage 3. Much like on stage 2, we want to keep playing into our streak, but here we start taking more damage, so you have to be more careful. Your playstyle from here will depend a lot on your current streak, your current HP total, and your current board strength, and most importantly, what comp you're planning on playing. The strategy will depend a little from comp to comp, but most comps want to get to level 8 to achieve 2-star forecasts and some legendaries on their board. Some comps have to roll at level 8 as they're running very expensive units, and some can get away with rolling at level 7 as they are running less expensive units. On stage 3-2, it is very common to be level 6 regardless of your current streak. The only times you don't level to 6 here is if you are lost streaking and planning on rolling at level 7 instead, if you drop below 30 gold after leveling to 6, or if you have nothing good to add in and you don't want to roll. How often you level to 6 depends on the comp you're planning on playing and what the meta is, but most of the time it's correct to level to 6 on stage 3-2. I would say I level to 6 on stage 3-2 in about 90% of my games when I'm not playing a 3-star reroll comp. On stage 3-2, you can also roll at level 6. This is done in a couple of scenarios. If you are win streaking and you need to get a little stronger to maintain the streak, if you are loss streaking and now you want to power spike and start win streaking, if you're sitting on multiple pairs and you want to upgrade them to 2 stars, or if you are looking for multiple units that would spike your board. By rolling through a couple of shops, we will often hit the 2 stars and synergies we need to keep the win streak. And if we are sitting on multiple pairs, then we have a lot of potential power sitting on our bench, and if we don't utilize that, then we will often take more damage than necessary. How much gold you should spend on rerolling depends on the comp you're playing, but generally speaking, you never want to roll below that 20 gold mark, as it takes a long time to get back up to 50 gold if you dig that deep, and with increased leveling costs, it's even harder to reach level 7 and 8 if we fall too far behind on our economy. On stage 3-5, we can level to 7. Much like on 3-2, only do this if you're staying above 30 gold after leveling. The reason for the 30 gold amount has again to do with the opportunity cost. If you drop from 50 to 30 gold, you lose that on 2 interest gold. Next turn you will lose that on 1 gold if you hit 40, and then you will get to 50 gold on the next turn. In total, you're only paying 3 gold to put in an extra unit, and to also see 2 level 7 shops instead of level 6 shops. But the only times you will have enough gold to level to 7 on 3-5 is if you have been heavy win streaking or loss streaking throughout the entire game up to that point, or if you picked an economy augment on either stage 2-1 or 3-2. Much like on stage 3-2, you can decide to roll on stage 3-5. The times I roll here is if I've been loss streaking for the entire game and I'm looking to turn it around into a win streak, which is also known as a level 7 all-in, or if I am win streaking and I need to hit a couple of pairs to maintain the win streak, just like on stage 3-2. Once you get to stage 4, the late game begins. People start getting low on HP, and you will take even more damage here. On stage 4-1, you want to be level 7, and from here, it is all about figuring out whether you can roll at level 7 or if you can go for a fast 8. This depends a lot on what comp you're playing and the overall situation in your lobby, but here are some general guidelines. You want to roll down at level 7 if you're 70 HP or lower, your board is weak compared to the rest of the lobby, you're looking for a 3 or 4 cost carry, your team is not heavily reliant on any legendaries, if many other people are also rolling down here on stage 4-1, and most importantly, if you don't have enough gold to do a level 8 roll down next turn on stage 4-2. You will usually only be able to do that if you got a ton of gold from the PvE rounds, or if you picked an economy augment, or if you've been heavy win streaking or loss streaking for the entire game up to this point. If you have around 70 HP or lower, you're most likely not one of the stronger players in the lobby. Since others are likely to roll on stage 4-1, you will take a lot more damage. The worst case scenario is that you take 10 to 15 damage every turn for the next 3 turns, resulting in you being close to 30 or even 20 HP at stage 4-5, which is the stage where you will level up to 8 if you are doing the fast 8 strategy. Again, these are just general guidelines, so feel free to experiment and break these rules in different situations. But if you are a newer player, I recommend you follow these rules until you get a better overall understanding of the game. If you decide you want to roll level 7 on 4-1, you generally want to roll down to around 10 to 20 gold. This is so we have enough money to go level 8 later in the game. The only times we keep rolling past this threshold is if you are still weak after having rolled down, or you're incredibly low on HP, typically 40 or less. In those scenarios, you might be stuck donkey rolling at level 7 for the rest of the game, until you hit your 2 stars, meaning you're rolling to 0 gold every turn in order to not bleed out and get 8th place. Fast 8 is the other option from stage 4-1, meaning you go level 8 on either stage 4-2, 4-5, or 5-1. Which one of these you go for depends on your HP and gold total. In general, you need at least 30 to 40 gold to hit a decently strong board at level 8, so if you are below 30 gold after leveling to 8, you generally want to wait a couple of more turns until you have more gold to work with. Therefore, do not go level 8 until you have at least 30 to 40 gold to roll with after having leveled to 8. The hardest part about stage 4 is recognizing when you can fast 8 and when you have to roll level 7, so don't feel bad if you make the wrong call, but know that if you're in doubt, it's generally better to roll at level 7. Although this will make you get less first places, it will avoid 8th place a lot of the time, and let you get more top 4s overall, which is what will make you climb in the long run. At stage 5, everyone knows what comp they are playing, and the player damage starts to ramp up quite a bit here. Already on stage 5-1, a lot of players are all-inning for their comps, meaning they roll to 0 gold in order to hit everything they need for their comp. Therefore, we want to level to 8 on this stage if we haven't already. From there, you will almost always roll to hit everything in your own comp as well. So be aware of your comp's ins and outs before rolling here, as you will be offered a lot of different directions. Another option is to level but not roll and go for a fast 9. A fast 9 is the same as a fast 8, but instead, you're looking to go level 9 before you roll. A fast 9 requires you to have high rolled for almost the entire game, as well as having picked up economy augments, and it's not something you can pull off often. If you want to fast 9, the goal is to go level 9 on either stage 5-5 or 6-1 depending on how much gold you have, and in those scenarios, you're rolling for a 2-star legendary as your main carry, and you will also be using legendaries as your main tanks as well. All of that is expensive to buy, so if you are doing a fast 9, you need to have enough gold to actually hit 2-star units after, meaning you need at least 40 to 50 gold or more after leveling to 9. It's expensive and hard to do, so I would stay away from this strategy until you are an experienced player. Now let's go over how the economy management differs when playing reroll comps that want to 3-star multiple units. Your strategy depends on whether you're 3-star in 1 cost units, 2 cost units, or 3 cost units. All reroll comps use a slow roll strategy, meaning that you're rolling down to 50 gold every single turn at a specific level. Getting a lot of 3-star units costs a lot of gold. Therefore, we need to maximize our gold income, and by maximizing interest gold every turn by staying above 50 gold. For 1 cost units, we will be slow rolling at level 4 and 5, but mostly at level 5. Because of this, we do not level at all in the early game, since we want to always have the best chop odds for 1 costs as possible. As you can see, the odds get worse and worse for 1 costs as you level up. You can also hyper roll if you're only looking to 3-star one cost champion, but you will only do that if you have 6 or more copies of that champion by stage 3-1. If not, you slow roll above 50 gold. In the early game, you will often lose streak in addition to selling off units to make interest gold faster. This will skyrocket your gold count and let you achieve 50 gold much faster. The only downside is the HP you're losing, but it's worth sacrificing as we get a large power spike once we hit our 3 stars. Once you get all your 3-star 1 costs, your game plan depends entirely on the comp you are playing, but for most comps, you want to push to as high of a level as possible after that. If you are 3-starring 2 cost units, you want to slow roll at level 6. The early game strategy is to save up as much gold as possible so we can start slow rolling faster. This can often be paired with a 5 loss streak, but since we are looking to 3-star 2 cost units, we can also level up and play aggressive in the early game, as the 2 cost odds only go up until level 6. The goal is to be level 6 with 50 gold or more by stage 3-5 at the latest. From there, slow roll at level 6 until you have hit the 3 stars. Once you get your desired 3 stars, the game plan depends on the comp. But for most comps, the game plan is once again to push to as high of a level as possible. If you are 3-starring 3 cost units, the game plan is very similar as 3-starring 2 cost units. You can play the early game however you want, and the mid game however you want. The goal is to be level 7 with 50 gold or more by stage 4-1. From there, you will slow roll for 3 stars. Usually you will not hit until stage 5, but in general, you will have to all in and roll for your 3 stars at around stage 3-5 to 5-5, as people will be insanely strong on stage 5, and we can't sacrifice our HP during most of those rounds. Once you hit the 3 stars, the game plan once again depends on the comp you're playing. There are 15 legends and 30 portals in set 9. Most of these will impact how you manage your economy. You pick your legend before you even queue up, and here you can pick whichever you want. Let's take a look at the legends that impact your economy. Aesol offers augments that lets you level up faster, making it easier to get to level 8 and 9 faster. Bard gives you rewards once you hit level 6, which is great for lost streaking on stage 2. Caitlyn gives you startup units for free, saving you money and letting you win streak easier. Draven gives you loot whenever you kill a unit, making it easier to snowball a win streak. Lee Sin makes it easier to hit more units, which is great for reroll comps that once you hit 3 stars, or if you want to star up a lot of champions throughout the game. Pengu gives you augments that give you more HP, meaning you can lost streak easier as the consequences are lowered. Tahm Kench gives you a ton of gold. This is great for comps that want to get a bunch of 3-star champions, as you get to the 50 gold slow roll point faster. As for portals, you vote on these at the start of the game. Some of these also alter your economy playstyle. Yordle Portal gives you champions for free, which you can choose to sell off to make interest faster. This allows you to be more aggressive with leveling as you make your money back with free units. Scuttle Puddle gives you more overall loot, so either use that to get to 50 gold faster, or level more aggressively in the early game. Thresh's Sanctum gives you loot every time 40 units have died. Units from both your team and the enemy team counts, so here you want to have many units on your board to get more stacks. Targon's Prime gives you loot at 40 HP, which lets you lost streak until 40 HP and use that extra loot paired with a level 7 all-in to power spike and go for a massive win streak. The Summit gives you champion duplicators. These can be used to hit pairs so you don't have to roll during the mid game. The Sump removes interest gold entirely. Instead you get 3 gold every round instead. Here you need to completely change your playstyle, as you want to level more aggressively in the early game and might not even make it to level 8 in most games unless you streaked properly. Glask Industries gives you gold every time you make an item, so try to make more items in the early game especially, as the gold is a lot more valuable at that point. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want cheat sheets for any of my comp guides or other guides, they are available for YouTube members and patrons, and links to those are down in the description. So take care and see you in the next video.